Hello. If you joined for 8.1, welcome back. If you didn't, welcome to 8.2, new friend. I'm Emily Rose, one of the program managers here at Code Nation, and we're going to be walking through 8.2, which is all about multiple conditions. All right, so we're starting with our do now, as always. You're going to open your pop code, and what you want to do is, if the input is rainy, you're going to change the text in the paragraph to say, bring an umbrella. Otherwise, you're going to change the text in the paragraph to say, enjoy the sun. So you want to pause your video now and start us back up when you're ready to move forward. And we're back. If you're not pausing, you're going to get some amazing transitions. Here we go. So let's take a look at the answer to our do now. So we started with our click function. When you click on the what do I need button, something has to happen. So we start by declaring the variable weather, and we assign that the value of whatever the user puts in this input box. So let weather equal input.val. We've talked about that before. You can look back if you need a refresher on that. So once we've declared our variable, then we can make our if statement. So this if statement says if weather is equal to rainy. Remember that in conditional statements we need equals equals equals. So if weather equals 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 rainy, also rainy is a string, so you want to put it in quotation marks. Then you want to update the text in the paragraph to say bring an umbrella, just like we did here, right? So the block of code that you want to execute goes between those first curly brackets, yeah? Else, so if it's anything other than rainy, if someone puts kind of cold, or if someone puts too darn hot, yeah? If they put anything other than rainy, they're going to get enjoy the sun, yeah? And that's our do now. So let's keep it moving. All right. So today we're going to dive in further, and you're going to create conditional statements with multiple conditions. And we're going to do that using else if. So that is our vocab for this lesson, else if statement. Okay, so it might get a little confusing. If else is what we learned in 8.1. Else if is what we're going to learn today. So here we go. If else statements, they let you do just two things, right? Either something can be true, the condition is true, or the condition is false. That's it, yeah? So in this case, this example here, we have if hide text equals 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 on, then we're hiding the paragraph. Otherwise, if hide text is anything other than on, we're showing the paragraph, right? So we only have two possible outcomes, yeah? There might be a problem with that. So what happens when there's a time when that basic statement with just two outcomes isn't enough? And what you see on the screen is an example of that, yeah? So in school, let's say your grade is higher than 90, then on your report card, it's gonna say your grade is an A. Otherwise, if your grade is anything other than greater than or equal to 90, it's going to say your grade is an F. Is that what we want it to do? Do we want only 90 to 100 as an A and everything below 90 is an F? I don't think we do. I certainly don't want that for myself. So we need to be able to have more outcomes, which means we need more conditions. So let's take a look at this flow chart. So we start just like we did in 8.1. If condition A, so we have one condition in those initial parentheses. If it's true, then we're gonna execute action B and we're done, the end. However, if condition A is false, we're gonna move to the else, but instead of just else, we're gonna say else if another condition, yeah? So if condition A is false, now we're gonna check a second condition and see if that condition is true or false. If it's true, we're going to execute action D, and if it's false, we're going to execute action E. And as you might imagine, you could keep adding more and more conditions to do anything you need to do to give you way more than just 2 options. So in the same example we were using before, everything below a 90 is not just a B or just an F or anything like that. So we need to use else if to add multiple conditions. So starting with what we had before, we have our initial if statement. If grade is greater than or equal to 90, then whatever is in those first curly brackets, you're going to get an A. Else if, so let's say you have an 84, right? Then the first condition, grade greater than or equal to 90, is false. So now you're going to move on to a second condition. Else if grade is greater than or equal to 80, then you're going to execute what's in the curly brackets after this second condition. So if it's an 84, you're going to get a B. Yeah? And you can keep adding on to that, just like it says here. Yeah? So let's say you had a 72. Your grade is not greater than or equal to 90, so you don't get an A. You move on to the next conditional statement. Your grade is not greater than or equal to 80, you don't get a B, and you move on to the next conditional statement. Your grade is a 72, so you're going to get a C. Yeah? But if it's anything below a 70, we're using our else again. Yeah? So let's say you got a 44. Let's hope you didn't get a 44. But let's say you got a 44, right? You didn't get an A, we're moving on to the next condition. You didn't get a B, moving on to the next condition. You didn't get a C, and anything below that, you're going to get keep trying, which is a nice response if you got a 44. So we're going to talk through what we see on the screen in front of us. So what are the conditions in this statement? Take a second, think to yourself. There are multiple conditions. I want you to identify them. So you can pause the video and unpause when you're ready to move on. And we're back. Yes. So what are the conditions in this statement? Our first condition comes right after that if in the parentheses. It is that day is equal to Monday. Remember, equals, equals, equals. So day equals, equals, equals Monday. Yeah? Then we go down to our next condition, else if we have our second condition in parentheses, day is equal to Friday. Yeah? Then after that, we have yet another condition, a third. After that third if in the parentheses, we have day is equal to Saturday. And then since else comes after that, there aren't any more conditions, right? So we have 3 conditions: if day is equal to Monday, if day is equal to Friday, and if day is equal to Saturday. So we've answered our first question. Now, which block of code is going to execute when we actually run this? Remember, we've declared the variable day up at the top, and it says let day equal the string Friday. So I want you to look through the code in this conditional statement and figure out which block of code is actually going to run based on what you know. So pause the video, come back when you're ready. And we're back. Yes. So we know that our variable day has been assigned the value of Friday. So let's look at our first if statement, our first condition there. It says day is equal to Monday. Is Friday equal to Monday? No. So we know that's false, and we move on to the next condition. So next condition is day equal to Friday. Is Friday equal to Friday? Yes, it is. So we know that the block of text that's going to run is whatever is in the curly brackets after day equal to Friday, after the true condition. So in this case, the text of your schedule is going to say early dismissal. Yeah? We did it. It is pretty sad that it's not Saturday when we can go to the movies. Oh well. Moving on, we're going to go on to our guided practice. And what we're going to be doing is writing a program that suggests what to wear based on the temperature. So let's see, is this our guided practice? Nope, this is our guided practice. Welcome. Okay, cool. So we are writing a program that suggests what to wear based on the temperature. So if we look at what our website looks like, we have a box, an input field where we can type in the temperature, and then we have a button where we can click to get the answer to what should I wear. Yeah. So then in our code, in our JavaScript down here, we have a click handler already done for us. And we have a variable declared. So let temperature equal input.val, right? We've been using input.val to make sure that we have a variable to hold whatever the user puts in this temperature input field. Before we move on, you will notice that there's this function number that's around the whole, sorry, this like JavaScript box is over it, but you can see it. This number function is around the whole input.val part of this equation. And basically what that does is it makes sure that the computer reads whatever the user puts in the input field as a number and not a string, right? Because we're going to be comparing whatever they put to these conditions that involve numbers. So we need to make sure the computer is reading the input as a number. Cool. So we have our variable temperature set up. And now we have an if statement here. And this if statement says, if temperature is less than or equal to 50, then we're going to tell the user to wear a winter jacket. So let's just check this. Let's say it's 32 degrees. What should I wear? I should wear a winter jacket. Nice. So we know that part is working. So the question is, what comes next? So we have our initial if statement, yeah? And now we need some additional conditions for each one of these. If the weather is 50, we have, but if the weather is 70, we need a condition for that. If the weather is 80, we need a condition for that. If the weather is 90, right? So our next move, as we learned in our slides, is else if, right? We're setting up a new condition. So what is our next condition? We said if the weather is 50 or below. What if the weather is 70 degrees or below? So if temperature, that's the variable that's holding whatever temperature the user has said it is outside, is 70 or below, so less than or equal to 70, what do we need? We need wherever the then goes. So we put our curly brackets, and then we're actually going to close our curly brackets to make sure we don't forget. Yeah. So else if the temperature is less than or equal to 70, what are we doing? It says tell the user to wear a light jacket. So we do our jQuery $. We want our output. We want the text to update to, what is it? Wear a light jacket. Yeah. And it looks like our bar here at the top of popcode is green, so we know we don't have any errors. So right now, we have if the temperature is less than or equal to 50 degrees, if it's colder than 50 or 50 degrees, you're going to wear a winter jacket. I'm totally on board with that. If your temperature is less than or equal to 70, then you're just going to wear a light jacket. And then we need, what comes next? We still have 2 more conditions. So we need 2 more else if statements. And now that we know how to do this, one thing you could do is copy and paste, right? Because they're all going to be in the same format. So I'm going to copy and paste else if temperature is less than or equal to 80. We're going to say wear a t-shirt. T-shirt. And then we're going to copy and paste again. Temperature is less than or equal to 90. Wear shorts. Nope. Amazing. So we still have a green bar. So we know that all this, there are no errors. I want to point out one thing really quickly before we move on. I'd like you to notice the order that we put these in. So first we started with if the temperature is less than or equal to 50, then we moved on to if it's less than or equal to 70, and then ascending from there. And that's because the computer is going to execute the code in the order that you've written it. So if we were to start with 90, let's actually just update this, and wear shorts is what you're supposed to do at 90. And then we said the temperature is 15 degrees. It's going to tell you to wear shorts because 15 is less than 90, right? So the reason it works when we do it this other way is that by the time it gets to 90, let's put this back where we had it. By the time the computer gets to this line of code about it being 90 degrees, it's already checked. Is it less than or equal to 50? No. Is it less than or equal to 70? No. Is it less than or equal to 80? No. Okay, it's less than or equal to 90. Yeah, that's why if we put 22 now, or 15, I guess is what we did before, it's going to tell you to wear a winter jacket because it's checking the code in order. Cool? Cool. So I want to try one other thing. Let's reset this. What if we say the temperature is 1,000 degrees? Doesn't tell us what to wear if it's 1,000 degrees. Why is that? Just think to yourself. Right? We only have these 4 conditions that have very specific circumstances. So we have less than or equal to 50, less than or equal to 70, less than or equal to 80, less than or equal to 90. But we don't really have anything above that, right? There are plenty of numbers above 90, and we're not telling the computer what to do if someone puts in one of those numbers. Yeah? So this is where our else can come in handy, right? So if it's anything other than all the numbers we just talked about, we have our curly brackets, and we're going to close them so we don't have any errors. If it's anything other than 90 degrees or cooler, maybe you live in New Mexico and it's 112 degrees, then we want our output to say output text change to you're on the sun, get off now. Nope. Yep. Great, great. And boom. So I'm green in my pop code. I don't have any errors. I've closed all my curly brackets. So now let's see what happens if we say it is 1,000 degrees. You're on the sun, get off now. Yeah, so that's where our else comes in handy. So we make sure any input someone puts in this box, they're gonna get some sort of feedback. Yeah, very cool. If you're on the sun, get off now. Okay, let's move on. Amazing, we did our guided practice, and now we're gonna tackle our independent practice. I should have it up over here. Yes, indeed. So you are building a photo filter app, which seems amazing. And you're gonna do that by creating a conditional statement with multiple conditions, just like we just did over in our guided practice. So your instructions are all here from line 6 on, and they're all commented out. Remember that the 2 slashes in front of any code means the computer will not read those. Yeah, so you want to follow the instructions here to make sure you apply a different image filter for every one of these options. So looks like the user can choose Harlem, Bushwick, Soma, or Sunset, and you want to apply a different filter for each one of those. So we're going to start the first one together so you know what to do. Cool. So the computer is reading, you can tell from the different colors, lines 1 through 4, because they don't have the slashes in front of them. So the computer is reading those. So we know that we've declared selected filter as a variable. And we have set up our click handler so that when someone clicks this apply filter button, something will happen. And we've declared the variable filter to hold whatever someone types into that input field. So we're all set up, and now we want to do our Harlem filter. So what we should do next is set up our if condition. So if what, right? Well, if filter equals Harlem, remember that has to go in quotation marks because it is a string, then, and we're going to close our curly brackets down here, and we're going to comment back in our code. So if filter equals Harlem, then we're going to update the CSS of our image to have a contrast of 115% and a brightness of 120. Let's see if this works. Harlem. Oh, it did work. That's awesome. And you'll notice way down here, there is a reset click function. So that anytime you hit the reset button, the CSS is going to clear and it'll go back to what it was before. So we've done this first one, right? We've created the Harlem filter, and now you want to follow all of these instructions to create the additional filters, yeah? And one other thing I want to call your attention to is you can put a unique spin on this and create a new filter that is named after yourself. And if you want to get super spicy, you can also add a separate input field where the user can input a number to change the size of the image, which I think would be really cool. So take some time, work independently. You can always look back at the slides if you need help. You can rewind this video recording, whatever terminology we're using. And there is a reference table in your Google Classroom. You also, if you need help with any things like input.val, anything we've covered before 8.2, you can always look back at previous lessons. And finally, if you can't figure something out after you've looked at the available resources, you can always leave a comment for your volunteers or for your PM, and they'll help you out. Cool. So pause the video, work on your own, and come back when you're ready. You're back. Oh my gosh. Welcome. How fun was that? I hope it was super fun. So you did your independent practice. We're going to make sure you submit it. Yeah. So remember to, I hope you're logged in so you can save your work. You're going to give it a title. You're going to create your snapshot and copy that link. So you're going to open up the assignment in Google Classroom. You'll add your link and of your snapshot, and then you will turn it in. Hopefully by this point in the year, you remember how to do this, but it's there in case. Cool, cool. So in closing, think to yourself, what is the difference between if, else, and else if? Think about that for a quick second. You can pause your video and start when you're ready. Amazing. Again, if you're not pausing between my transitions, this is going to be awesome. So what is the difference between if, else, and else if? Right? If is always your first condition, and else does not have a condition, right? Else is just if it doesn't meet any of the conditions that came before, right? So if is your first condition, else doesn't have any conditions, and else if always comes after either an if or another else if, right? So it's like an if statement, but it can never be the first one, right? It always has to come after a condition that came before it, yeah? But they all have that syntax of the curly brackets. Whatever goes between the curly brackets is what will execute. Cool. And it's time for exit ticket. So you can open your exit ticket in Google Classroom. Again, we are in 8.2. And this block of code will be in your exit ticket in Google Classroom, but I'm going to read it really quickly and leave it on the screen for you to work on as you finish. So the conditional statement here on the screen is supposed to check whether my guess is equal to the secret number, and then return whether the guess is correct, whether it's too low or too high. Yeah? So what this is supposed to do is tell you if your guess is correct, is too low, or is too high. Now take a look at the code. I'm not sure the code is going to be able to do what you want to do. So your job is to explain why you would need to use an else if statement in order for this to work the way you want it to work. Remember, you can go back and look at your slides. You can rewind this video. You can do it. Thanks, and we'll see you in class.